one day, listening to his guided meditation, I had a moment where it was just, that was the shift. Something just cracked. So at the end, you transcend even the duality between self and no-self.
Hello, Frank. I remember watching your deadlift video in high school. So it's,
really?
it's good to see you now in person.
Well, really close.
The 2 weeks that Frank and I spent in the Bay Area were, in a word, metamorphosis. I got to meet my first ever internet friend. The boundless bubble of Frank's awareness created an alchemical container for so much expansion and learning. It was like everywhere we went felt like home. Whether we were under an overpass or in someone's living room, every person we were with felt like family. The boundlessness just keeps going. Whoa. Wow, Frank. It's starting to, it feels like the boundlessness just keeps going and going and going.
Really? So you said this is like a bad reference, but
Anything, yeah.
why is that?
I don't know if it's because it's so like visceral, like being like next to you in the field and stuff doing it. Because you're a frequency learner, you know? There were too many synchronicities to count. Synchronization began to just feel like the stuff that life is made of. The gifts I've been left with from this time, I have a feeling I'm just seeing the beginnings of. The whole reason I reached out to Frank to begin with was actually because of a dream I had. In the dream, I met up with Frank at a meditation center I'd never been to here in the Bay Area. For the next 2 days after this dream, I felt so much love and bliss that it prompted me to send Frank a DM. I simply said, "Thank you so much for existing."
Within the sound of silence.
I'm Q from China.
I was a Buddhist and followed precepts for many years, but it didn't get any awakening experience. No, Frank, it's on his YouTube channel. I have this idea to reach him. I want to be his assistant. We had a Skype call, and he told me, "There's no teacher. There's nothing I can learn from him. Just come hang out. Really just fuck around."
It lead to many awakening experience and filled with crazy adventures and discoveries.
It felt like a big bang, and he will sometimes stare at me. His presence itself made me let go all my ego.
Happiness is here now. I have dropped my worries.
My body started to dissolve, and all my feel become just awareness. All my beliefs or conditionings, limitations, which made me suffer, and it's actually just imaginations. That all is fabricated, and completely let go all my belief or thoughts about awakening, but just be. Everything becomes so clear, and everyone appears so tender. I want to say thanks to homeless people. I want to say thanks to each person that I see.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
The way that you're even connecting to the camera, it's like it becomes an extension of your body in a way. Your consciousness is like flowing with it, and yeah, it happens almost like together on its own.
Look at the face of Louisiana. Wow. Look at the face. That looks like the ultimate. Yeah, right.
Louisiana,
Swamp people.
When you capture something that's like true to its essence, it's almost like non-duality, or like the state of non-separation. So the artwork itself doesn't actually exist, neither does the artist or the perceiver, except for this codependent rising. That's why I don't use a lot of equipment, just my iPhone and the Insta360. Too much equipment filters out the immediacy of being.
Let me tell you who I am.
Wife has a master's in fine art and did a lot of video performance art. So I was showing her the human acid trip last night. She's like, "This is video performance art. This is fabulous." She loved it. Yeah. Loved it.
Yeah, I used to be really into performance art. Like, I went to art school with him.
Yeah. Which one?
Yeah.
Maryland Institute of Art.
Performance art, like music and dance, is the exchange of pure energy. It's totally abstract. Uploading my entire spiritual journey to the internet, or giving people live transmissions to alter their consciousness.
So I was like staring into his eyes.
When I look into your eyes,
Things just started dropping.
it's like that vastness of the cosmos, like literally.
Like I'm talking with you and I feel fear. I don't know, it's like talking with Buffo.
There's no self in others. What you're experiencing from me, you're giving it to yourself. It's really no different than making love in the middle of the street, 2010. Or playing the violin in a thong, getting arrested for it, 2015. Or marrying games. Or destroying my own room and taking a bath with household cleaning supplies while blowing my face with a leaf blower, 2008. Or filming close-up of strangers' faces with my iPhone cinematic mode. Or giving guided meditation and the Alembic and eating 10,000 calories a day on a clean, dirty bulk. It's all the same thing. It's almost like you've condensed all that chaos into just a single stare in the vastness of silence. As Andy Warhol said, art is what you can get away with, and everything else is dharma.
I'm honestly so juiced right now. Your energy or something, because behind your head it started just pulsating like pink.
I'll see it.
I was talking about the tantric aesthetic theory, and that's all about a liberated part of the emotion. You can ride those into a moment of total non-dual release. Just like you can do that with joy, or do that with erotic sensations, or do it with awe, but also terror, and also disgust. The potential is there for the full spectrum of human life to all be liberated.
The metaphor I make for the Dzogchen master is a shapeshifter. It's like, it's kind of like Spider-Man. The way that Spider-Man moves, like swing from building to building, bouncy, very bouncy.
Yeah, lots of energy. You have a full engagement in the world, full engagement with people, full engagement with your own emotional body, full engagement with your sexual self, love of art and beauty. It's a little bit there in the Vajrayana. In fact, some of the big non-dual Shaiva Tantra gurus were actually famous as art theorists and aesthetics. That's what they were in the world famous for. And then on the side, they were gurus. How to find an awakened non-dual moment inside listening to a symphony. Or inside a dance. Or even just eating food. Very, very different flavor than early Buddhism.
Alleviating suffering was just a byproduct. To me, it's all about aesthetics. Making art and just creativity in general is a really good way to tap into the process of awakening. Because making art, especially visual art,
is teaching you how to see differently. You think the world is this way, but in actuality, the mind's natural state is actually very, very different from the way you're experiencing it through the separate state. Sure, it's the quote-unquote same substance, but imagine watching an iPhone screen, and then you have a shift. All of a sudden, your perception becomes panoramic, with no center, no borders, boundaries, or limitation. You become the entirety of this infinite virtual reality game. Rob Burbia has a book called Seeing That Frees, just the way you train your brain to model reality and process information differently, to perceive one sense door with another, to realize that there's only one unified sense door of zero. If making films and music is sculpting time, and architecture is writing frozen music, then filming and editing the 360 videos is sculpting the entirety of the space-time fabric. And you gotta move your entire body and merge it with the world. So I call it MMA of the mind, or parkour of consciousness.
You have like 5 axes where you can just, do.
Oh wow, that does look like a drone. That is really cool.
The violin fingerboard has no frets, and just missing by 1 millimeter is the difference between life and death. It's the difference between this note and that note. So the violinist cannot be thinking about the tiny little space of 1 millimeter on the fingerboard when he plays, or else he's gonna make a mistake. In his mind, he has to remodel the entire reality as if he's jumping from Jupiter to Mars. Even the most photorealistic paintings or the most realistic documentaries is still the construction of the mind. It's part of the dream. And that process is no different.
And how your brain constructs reality.
You think you're perceiving reality as it is, but it's all filtered through the senses. A fabrication of the mind. And even the 5 aggregates, including consciousness, is empty. So this statement is void. I never interacted with so many people that are into non-duality in the same room. It's almost like a psychedelic emergence in the 60s in the gay queer community. But now the seed of awakening is spreading from the Bay Area as well. You can go into a house party and talk about enlightenment. People who are interested in spirituality are also rational-minded and scientific and pragmatic, coming from the tech world in parallel with AI and virtual reality and neuroscience development.
Find the part of you that's already sky-like and come from there. The wind of the breath is just the wind in the sky.
Trying to let go of the image of the body part that you're scanning.
Awareness itself doesn't have a body. It's not stuck inside your skin. Go ahead and let go of any sense of a boundary and let it be boundless and centerless, spontaneous, wide open, very welcoming and kind.
I always want to find that balance, that middle way between contraction and expansion, between relaxation and effort.
Not needing to do anything at all.
There's something that's aware of both the silence and the sound.
Awareness is already wide awake. Just let it be awake. Be the spaciousness. Tonight we have a special guest. So this is Frank Yang, a meditation celebrity.
Okay, bring this. I started just documenting my life since I was like 14 years old.
Bicycle.
Watched every single one of your meditation videos.
Except this one. How'd you end up getting into meditation, Frank?
Now, I was always about like exploring the mind and how the brain works. And before that, I was bodybuilding, fitness. Like I was in fitness for like 10, 15 years.
And you have a huge amount of videos just on bodybuilding. Right?
Yeah, and I was also dealing with like sex addiction. Those two things, exploring creativity in the mind and reducing my sexuality, my sex drive was what led me to meditation. And then when I went to my second retreat, I had my first like blinked out experience, like you can call it a cessation or whatever. Right now, when I think of it, it's just like nothing. But back then, it was like, I was like, what the fuck is going on? It was just like,
It's a big deal.
It was a big deal. It was like life and death stuff, you know? Yeah. And then after I went home, so I just Googled the hell out of like what's going on. And that's when I found Michael Taft. His interview on Deconstructing the Self with Srilodasa, the title was "Are More People Entering Stream Entry?" And then one day, listening to his guided meditation,
Compassion for all beings.
I had a moment where it was just that was the shift, and the guided meditation we just did, the centerless, boundless, spacious awareness, spontaneity, all that stuff. It was just at that moment,
that crap. Yeah.
something just cracked. Something just cracked, and then something here just dropped. It was just like a moment where if you don't let go, you're gonna be annihilated. If you let go, you're gonna be annihilated anyway. So there's nothing you could do. And then you're just talking in the background. And now it's been like 3.5 years, and now it's just extremely ordinary. But at the same time, if you put the old Frank, like before all this in here, you have a mental breakdown where he thinks he's on like 5-MeO DMT or something. But like this is just the way it is. Like it's just can't get any more simple than this. Like
Let me
I don't know.
let me Venmo you right now. I paid him to say this.
Spending like 2 days just high out of my mind just watching your video.
From just that one video.
Just from watching the video, yeah. And then like world ending exactly at my skin without any space in between just really creates the sense of non-separation or something.
Thank you for your content, Frank.
Thank you.
It's great. It's good
I
to
love
see you
you.
in person.
Sure. This is Frank. Hey,
I'm Johnny.
Nice to meet you, Johnny.
I was telling him I was watching you since like high school. A lot of time you talk about like awareness training. It's very similar to the bodybuilding training.
Yeah.
Like, do you still view it as like you're still working out, or like is it?
No. Now, right now, it's just completely letting go. Just do nothing. Awareness is massively like powerful when you just do nothing.
I actually just started looking at some of your work.
Really?
Yeah, it's so funny to meet you like that quickly.
Oh wow, manifestation in real time.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, Galvin.
Yeah, this is crazy. In college, I watched videos of you playing Mendelssohn and jumping 40 inches.
Even having awareness is conditioning. Yeah, but then you don't have a conditioning around the conditioning. You are still you, but you're not you. Yeah. Because like no self is actually just another duality. Yeah, no self can only arise out of self. So at the end, you transcend even the duality between self and no self. But then you just not suffering anymore. Yeah.
Amazing.
How do you balance the desire to, I guess, I put this in quotes, like progress along the path and the acceptance of what is?
I think they're one and the same, actually. Everything about this path is a paradox. Even the effort is just happening by itself. And that was my path.
Yes.
Did you have a practice of therapy or journaling or just all meditation all the time?
I did a lot of shadow work without doing shadow work before I even started the path by like just self-expression, like, expressing the ego authentically just by creativity. You let love dissolve the ego. And then by doing that, you just have to love the ego to death. Yeah, by just accepting every part of it.
A lot of compassion arise when I heard you mention that you had quite a few struggles and that you had manic episodes and depression.
Thank you so much for being vulnerable and sharing your story. Did you treat your bipolar with the meditation? Did you
say medication or
meditation?
Oh,
Yeah.
I was diagnosed with bipolar like about 15 years ago, and once I started doing meditation, I just felt the symptoms getting less and less every day. But that was before sort of like quote unquote stream entry, where after I had my first blink out experience, there was a lot of moments during the unfoldments where the experiences kind of mimic intensive manic episodes from when I was even more intense actually. Before it was like this character experiencing bipolar. Now it feels like God is, or the universe, like the spaciousness is experiencing like bipolar disorder. So in a sense, that was actually, in a sense, even more difficult to deal with. But then once you get through that, then right now I don't feel like I have any trace of bipolar disorder or depression. Like, So I guess you could say meditation cured me, but there were moments on the path where it felt like I was getting even more like insane. Yeah.
Thank you. That's good.
It's all about losing your mind this path. So